5 people shaped my life. Only 2 of them were white. For those who look on America with the greatest admiration in its purest form, committed to freedom and democracy and equality among all people, what they see is not airplanes and missiles. They see Martin Luther King.
A monkey that can read, and you a man can't read, boy, you a bad shape. Now that talk called keep it real. Ooh, my goodness, see you next time.
Well, I know we kind of got fired up there a little bit, but I want to slow down. I want to back up for a few seconds because there's 3 points that I need to make about the milk that you really need to understand. Number 1, it coats the stomach. What happened when it coats the stomach? This is actually begins the process of you developing that acid reflux disease. This is when the milk is spoiling in the system and it's causing the bacteria, the natural bacteria that's in your enzymes, I should say, to become depleted. And it actually sets you up to have indigestion. Causes all types, hear me and hear me well, mothers, it causes all kinds of allergies in babies. Milk. You know the commercial with the little white thing right here? Milk. It's not good for you. Shaquille O'Neal is my #1 guy, but it's not good for you. But listen, let me move right along. Do you know that 55% of the livestock, I'm talking about cows and chickens and lambs, and all of these different animals, are fed antibiotics because they already having these diseases in them at the time they reach the what do you call it, the chopping block, if you will? They're giving these animals antibiotics to hold off or fight off or retard the infection that they have already been infected with from the foods that they're feeding them. What are we doing with, what is these antibiotics doing to us, I should say? These antibiotics are naturally resisting or causing your natural immune system to become resistant, and it's causing your system to become weak, and it's causing, basically, you're paying the price for these antibiotics that's shot and given to all of these animals. Why? Because you eat them. The steroids is just as well, the bovine growth hormones, which is causing the little girls to grow up and look like women at the age of 12. It's causing our sons to grow up and be like giants in the land and 12 and 13-foot tennis shoes, and they're only 10 years old. This is coming from your milk. I know that we probably say, look, my income is a little bit fixed, and I need to tap into and use this wick for a moment. But just for a moment, and I have a sanctified imagination, just for a moment, let's just look at the acronyms of WIC. And with my imagination, based on the content of those foods that they're giving you, I see wiping out innocent children. When I see the word WIC, that's what I see, wiping out innocent children. Why? Because one of the #1 cereals that they're promoting is Kellogg's, and Kellogg's basically is using all genetically engineered corn to produce all of their corn. And what is genetically engineered corn doing to our babies? And what is it doing to our bodies? It's causing all types of infection, and it's suppressing our immune system. So again, I have to emphasize, do you know that a woman will have a 3.8% increase in developing some form of breast cancer when she's eating chicken and meat? That's because of the steroids and the hormones that's shot in this chicken. Again, give us a call back at 404-880-5598. We will make this information available for you so that you can begin to educate yourself. And I told you that we had 6 foods. Those are the 6 foods that cause the body to begin to move into a degenerative state. Also, those are the 6 foods, if you stop eating them, then your body will automatically start to heal itself. But I said that I entitled this list, The 7 Sins of Civilization. And the reason that there's 7 is because the last one, which is probably more deadly than the other 6, is not a food. It's stinking thinking. That's right, stinking thinking. Stinking thinking is a process that you have formulated, or emotional imbalances that you picked up from mom, dad, somewhere down the line, and it has caused you and your whole thought processes to think a certain type of way. When you think a certain type of way, these thoughts then begin to dictate and create your reality. And when you begin to understand this, then you begin to experience what I call the checkup from the neck up syndrome, whereas throughout the course of the day, you begin to ask yourself, why am I thinking this way? Am I thinking out of love, or am I thinking out of fear? Am I thinking out of peace, or am I thinking out of anger? We're going to get more into the stinking thinking when we come back. But again, if your pencils are dull, sharpen them back up, because we're getting ready to give you one of the major keys to understanding how to step to the other side of health. I'll be right back.
Well, I tell people, you got to make a decision between work, money, and your children. Which one gonna come first? You can't put money ahead of your kids. Money answer material things, but it can't answer what you got going on in there.
Hi, this is Vicky White here at Open Window, and I'm in Whitesburg, Georgia, at the beautiful Manning Resort area, and it's just a beautiful place, and I want you to continue to watch Open Window, because we're going to be bringing you some wonderful places in the state of Georgia that you can take your family and enjoy the sceneries. Stay tuned for more of Open Window right here, a passageway to your mind.
A monkey that can read, and you a man can't read, boy, you a bad shape. Now that talk called keep it real. Ooh, my goodness, see you next time.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully boys and girls as well. Now listen, I know when we left, we started talking about stinking thinking, but I need to reemphasize something. You cannot afford the luxury of having a negative thought about you. Why? Because you were made in the image and likeness of God. God does not make any junk. God decided to reach inside himself and create us. And based on that premise alone, we are more than conquerors. We have been given the power and the information and the knowledge to overcome any type of dis-ease that we created in our bodies. I want to share something with you now, something that we discovered in the clinic years ago, and we're going to talk a little bit about cancer. We want to talk about cancer because I want to take this one spiritual principle, present it in a way that you can digest it and understand exactly what I'm saying. There's a passage in the Bible that says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. What does that mean? Well, first of all, you need to understand how we think in our hearts. We think in our hearts with our emotions. Emotions, energy in motion, thoughts in motion. This is how we think with our heart. But when we inappropriately deal with these feelings / emotions, we create physical disease. What am I saying? Well, one of the things that I discovered is that for every disease known to man, there's an emotional attachment to it. There's an emotional imbalance to it. And I said we're going to talk about cancer, so we're going to stick with the cancer. Anger, hatred, resentment, and bitterness. Those are the 4 emotions that turn the liver off. When you begin to turn your liver off, what happens? The liver does well over 130 some odd functions a day. When you turn the liver off, the liver then begins to allow these bad cells, if you will, or toxic cells, or cancerous cells to move throughout the body, and they'll go and find a weakness in the body and they'll set up shop. Well, how is anger and hatred? These are all emotions that paralyze the liver. Anger, the Bible says that it's okay to be angry, but to sin not. What's the sin of anger? Holding on to it, taking it to bed, walking with anger. What do you mean walking with anger, Jonathan? Well, it's simple. God has given us dominion and power over every element on the planet. So that means our thoughts as well. It takes less than a second to change your thoughts. Well, now it becomes an issue is, why would I choose to walk with anger when I can lay anger on the table and pick up joy? Why would I like to pick up frustration and bitterness and resentment when I can pick up happiness and peace? Now, hopefully you're starting to see how this thing works. This thing works, it's all about you and your thought processes. When you can begin to feel good about yourself, love yourself, appreciate yourself, and nurture yourself, it becomes an issue now with, I decided that I'm going to love myself more than I did yesterday, so I'm going to walk with peace. I'm going to walk with joy. I'm going to walk with happiness. Well, when you do that, then the anger and the hatred and the resentment falls off. But one of the most phenomenal things that I've discovered as we have developed this work is that when you begin to fall in love with love, we also know that Christ was that love principle. When you fall in love with love, there's two more emotions or two more energies that comes to the table to play, and that's peace and joy. Now you, peace, joy, and love are all having a party, and you're just moving to and from in any direction you choose to. But there's two more energies trying to catch up with you, but they never do. And I believe and I recall David saying that goodness and mercy will follow you all the days of your life. Why? Because you decided to fall in love with love. You decided to love you. You decided to begin to live life more abundantly. You decided that you wanted to establish God's kingdom on earth as it already was in heaven. What kingdom can you establish? None other than beginning to establish the kingdom within you first. As you begin to establish and cleanse that temple and establish that kingdom within you, then your light will begin to shine. Then others will begin to come to you and want to know, what are you doing so different that you glowing, that you have this magnetism, that you have this light about you? Then that's when you're in the process of giving birth to your divine purpose. That's when you and destiny have begun to meet and you begin to move in the way God has intended you to move. I'll be right back at you. Don't go nowhere.
No, this is it. I like this part. We never missed the practice. Never. It was kind of hard when your dad was a band leader.
We did pretty good, though.
Especially when he walked us to school. Come on, kids. Do you remember that silly-looking hat?
Yeah, we practiced every morning, even though we were never very good.
It didn't matter to him, though.
He just wanted us together.
You see, your granddaddy was really an accountant who volunteered to be the school band director. Here he comes.
Oh, no, girl. He wore the hat.
Family. Isn't it about time?
All together now.
That's our dad.
That's him.
Welcome back. I know we can seem a little bit overwhelming today, but it's okay. You'll make it. I'm just trying to give you enough meat for you to dissect until we come back to you next week. But I want to say that it is a part of my divine being, existing, that I'm able to come to you today. I want you to get this information, chew it up, dissect it, regurgitate it if necessary, and swallow it all back down again. Because it is imperative that you understand it so that you can take your own health and your own response and the accountability that goes along with it to within your own family and bring it all together. I want to share with you something. Go run right quick to your bathrooms during the next break. And I want you to get your toothpaste, and I want you to come back, and I want you to look at it. You'll be amazed to find that on the back of your toothpaste, it says, warning, do not swallow. If swallow more than used for brushing, contact the Poison Control Center immediately. I want to ask the question, why is that warning on my toothpaste? Well, in brief and in short, I'll tell you, and we'll come back and we'll do an in-depth show on the dangers of sodium fluoride. Sodium fluoride is in your toothpaste, ladies and gentlemen. It is suppressing your immune system for up to 12 hours a day. It's also one of the #1 mind-altering drugs that's being used out here. What I mean by that, it makes you more susceptible to subliminal messages, which means it makes you docile, which means that if there's a such thing as Big Brother and they want to send messages to certain communities and certain areas across the country, and if you have enough of this chemical in your body or in your brain, you will begin to act out or react out